Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, Season 7 has just been announced, and it is confirmed as the French, as I think many of us kind of suspected from some of the clues that we got dropped a little bit before it was actually officially announced. I've not really done anything yet covering the new season, so I just thought we'd give a little bit of my thoughts so far, take a little bit of a look at the announcement article, because they actually give us some info on some of the upcoming new units, new map and stuff like that, and just have a little bit of a talk through about what we think we might have upcoming, what's good and what I'm a little bit sort of concerned about. So I think it's nice to have a French season. It looks like it's going to be focusing on Joan of Arc and like the 100 Years' War. So it's a really cool period in history to be focusing on. Really pleased we're getting another European season. Didn't necessarily expect that to be the case, so really glad we have. And actually from some of the little clips we get to see, some of the little images we see of the units, and some of the stuff we see in the trailer, it's really looking kind of cool. And some stuff I'm looking forward to being able to put to use in battle. So, I guess the thing most people are going to be interested in, and myself, is the units. So we know we're going to be having 3 new units. A 3-star, a 4-star, and a 5-star. Kind of keeping in tradition with previous seasons in that sense. So the 3-star are going to be these Alchemists. They say close at hand to 10 to the wounded, so it sounds like they're going to be a healing-focused unit. They're going to be armed with combat with makeshift weapons, which so obviously it sounds like their melee ability is going to be kind of rather poor. That doesn't seem like their main focus. The only slightly concerning bit is this and explosives. Not quite sure what that means, and we don't quite know how that's going to play out. Let's say things like sort of the coconut throwers, the Zicanian militia. I'd say I know they're not explosives, they're more of a sort of Greek fire, like fire pots. And then we've also got things like Senjis. Obviously, they have the explosive grenades. How are they going to play out? Are they going to be something like that? Are they going to add a burn damage? Obviously, they're only a 3-star unit. We don't want them to be anything like the Cyclanian Militia. If they also get a heal on top of that, then that's going to make them an interesting unit. So, yeah, not quite sure how this one's going to play out. Interesting if they're just sort of a support unit that does get some decent explosive damage, though. Could make them kind of a popular unit, but really hard to know until we actually get onto the PTR. Although, while we're talking about that, they have announced that they are going to be doing like a preview event on the PTR. So hopefully we should be able to get hands-on with this a little bit before the 17th of March and actually start to test some of this stuff out. And, as with the previous seasons, I'll do videos and basically testing on them to sort of try and test different scenarios of what's going to work well. Is it going to be a unit worth getting? All that sort of stuff before it actually releases. At least that's the plan. Then we go on to Banner Guards. So this is a 4-star purple heroic era unit. Loyal knights carrying flags that strengthen allies and can be planted on the battleground to boost stats. So it looks like it's going to be sort of like a knight, obviously a knight style unit. The flags obviously going with a friendly AoE buff. I guess that's kind of a little bit similar to stuff like we've seen if we think back to Season 7 in the Vikings with the Shield Maidens, for example. When they go into their defensive formation, they provide a guardian buff to nearby allies. So, kind of sticking with this AoE boost stats. We don't know exactly what stats are going to be boosted, but I guess compared to what we've seen so far, it normally is either going to be defensive stats, i.e. a boost to defense, or something like an aggression, and it'll be a flat buff to damage done. So, yeah, interesting to see how this one plays out. What's going to make them radically different from something like Shield Maidens, and then equally like something like a support unit like the Bagpipes that we've just had in the current Scottish season. So yeah, a little bit of uncertainty on this one. Kind of going to be interesting if they're actually a good combat unit as well. I think it's nice if they give a buff, but they have to be a decent unit on their own. We don't want just support units in this season. We want some good actual knights who can actually get stuck in as well. And then we've got the Chevaliers, or I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, that may be the French way of saying it, or maybe even not, who knows. It's how I would go with it. A new cavalry unit. Been a while since we've had a cavalry unit introduced in a new season. I think I'm right in saying, oh no, we've had the Outriders. No, we did have the Outriders. But as a 5-star cavalry, I guess we're going back to Season 6 with the Lao Rangers. The upgrade, the upgraded, promoted version of the Fire Lancers. So, Cavalry Bay can tip the scales of battle with powerful charges And interestingly, it says, and work alongside certain 2 or 3 star units to gain special advantages. That is very vague. I'm not quite sure what that means, 2-star units. Things like Pike Militia, and hard to imagine what 2-star units are going to be working in conjunction with this. Going to be interesting to see how that pans out. No idea really what that means or what the special advantages are or how they're really going to kind of work together in that sense. Maybe things like Iron Cap Scout Cavalry, Courtiers, something like that maybe. There's almost like a knight and their squire. But yeah, honestly, no idea. What are your thoughts on that? Do let me know in the comments down below what you think those special advantages might be, because kind of curious on that one. We then go on to talk about the new map. Le Grand Glory. The Grand Glory. Take part in epic siege battles on this brand new map where bridges can be destroyed or rebuilt, which is going to be kind of interesting. I suppose that harks back to things like Wolfort. Is it Wolfort? The one where you can destroy the bridge between going from the little outpost and up to the B point. I guess that would be kind of interesting if something like that could be rebuilt. So that would be interesting to see how that plays out on a map. I kind of hope they, one, do 15v15, not 10v10 or 12v12, as they've kind of done on some of the new maps previously. But I also really hope they make a concerted effort to make it playable. I think one thing we've seen in the past is they just chuck it as a separate queue in the matchmaking system, but give no extra incentives for players to play it. Hopefully, if you can play the new map, let's give people a 25% XP buff, something like that. Make it more viable for people to play these maps. Actually encourage them, and then people are actually going to be able to queue for them. The season 10 map, the Scottish season map, I think I've played it, probably twice in the entire season. I want new maps, and I want to actually be able to play new maps, so hopefully my games really make sure that this is a playable map, give players rewards for playing on the new map, or put it into the normal siege queue and make it pop more often so we can actually get to test this sort of stuff out. As always, they're doing the pre-order stuff. No great surprise there. We actually, over on the Frontier article, get slightly more pictures of some of the battle passes, which look kind of cool. I kind of like this one. I'm presuming this is going to be the tier 1 one. Presumably something like this is going to be more the level 100 battle pass attire. I almost kind of prefer the level 0 one, the starting one, because it looks a lot more just like a traditional medieval knight, whereas Joan of Arc is certainly looking fairly fancy, a little bit too much so for my taste. But yeah, some really interesting stuff to see. As always, I always check the Frontier announcement notes as well, because sometimes they get written a little bit differently and things kind of change. But in this case, actually, they're really, really very similar, and we don't really learn anything extra kind of about it. The only other things to pick up on are the fact that Orgolia is going to be the end of the season, so it gives us some idea about the regions. So we know that, we're probably going to be fighting, we know we're going to be fighting on Orgolia. Territory War sounds like it's by and large staying roughly the same. We're going to be starting in the region of the Borderlands, and then probably branching out from there twice weekly, all the usual sort of stuff. And obviously, seasonal units are going to be unlocked in the usual way, we assume, through obviously just doing the seasonal unit challenges as we have for the sort of, last 9 seasons. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got so far. I like the idea of the French season, looking forward to it. Kind of want to see some of the units. Hopefully we don't get any power creep coming in. We want the units to be good, decent enough that we want to get stuck into them, play them. We definitely don't want a repeat of the Axe Raiders, and that's probably the main thing that the game really needs to avoid. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Are you pleased? Are you looking forward to Season 11? Are you pleased with the topic of the French? And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed it. I shall see you all in Season 11. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you all on the next one.